My name is Alberto, and today, finally, I have decided to recount what happened to me a few months ago. That morning, as I got ready and showered, I noticed that my wife had gotten up before me and had dressed up more than usual to go shopping. Without giving it much thought, I finished my chores and headed to the office. On the way, I remembered that I had forgotten some papers at home and decided to go back to get them. Upon entering, thinking I would be alone and have a quiet morning, I turned on the television and put on an intimate movie that my wife and I had recorded without inhibitions. I heard a sound upstairs, and, cautiously, I lowered the TV volume. We live in a 2-story house, and as I tried to identify the source of the sound, I stealthily went upstairs, expecting to find anything except what I actually found. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment if you want to hear more stories. You won't believe the ending of this story and who Alberto found in his own bed. Upon reaching the upper floor, the voices became clearer, and I recognized one of them as my wife's, along with another one I couldn't identify, but recognized. They were talking in a relaxed tone, sitting on the marital bed. It struck me as odd to see them there, as the bedroom wasn't the most appropriate place for casual conversation. Without saying a word, I entered an adjoining room that we used as a home office. From a small balcony connecting both rooms, I hid behind the curtains. All the windows were open because of the summer. And then I saw it. I recognized that man instantly. He was an ex-boyfriend, a former coworker who had had to move to a nearby town some time ago. I was petrified to hear his words, confessing how much he regretted that their relationship hadn't worked out, and how much he had missed her since their breakup over 2 years ago. I witnessed him holding her hand and kissing her, and she responded. How she let herself be carried away by his caresses, how her breath quickened with every kiss and bite on her neck. My wife, Lydia, let herself go, allowing him to explore every inch of her body. I watched as my wife began to slowly caress Pablo's groin, while he carefully unbuttoned her shirt. Amid moans, Pablo expressed how much he had missed my wife's breasts, and with devotion, he began to lick one of her nipples while firmly caressing the other. From my position in the dim light, I could clearly see how Pablo explored her body, which accelerated my breathing and unleashed a whirlwind of conflicting emotions in my mind. After some moments of intense caresses, Pablo began to caress her under her skirt, and Lydia, excited, helped him remove her panties. With a mixture of anticipation and desire, Pablo began to kiss her between her legs, unleashing moans of pleasure from my wife. Lydia, caught up in the moment, pushed him back and laid him on the bed, starting to undress him with a palpable urgency in the air. Once naked, Lydia straddled him, rubbing against him, seeking to prolong the moment of ecstasy, reaching an orgasm while Pablo stimulated her with mastery. Later, Pablo joined her gently, with calculated movements that triggered multiple orgasms in Lydia. The atmosphere was charged with passion and lust, as moans and whispers filled the room. From my hiding place, I watched as they progressed, surrendering to each other's desire. Their movements were a dance of passion and lust. Their moans filled the room as they melted into a fiery embrace. I felt like a spectator in my own life, unable to intervene as my wife and her lover indulged in pleasure. I felt a mix of excitement and pain, watching her give herself to another man before my eyes. And then, in a moment of shared ecstasy, they discovered me. I faced them naked. My presence surprised them, but it didn't stop their fervor. I joined them, sharing the pleasure that had consumed us for hours. After he left, I found myself alone with my wife, exhausted and covered in sweat. We immersed ourselves in the shower, where we surrendered to each other again, but this time without the presence of a third party. The hot water slid down our intertwined bodies as we melted into a passionate kiss. My hands gently roamed her skin, exploring every curve and crevice, while she moaned under my touch. Passion consumed us once again, and we surrendered to desire with renewed intensity. Every touch, every sigh brought us closer together, until we finally melted into a fiery embrace that enveloped us completely. And so, amidst whispers and moans, we surrendered to pleasure once again, exploring every corner of our beings as we reached the pinnacle of ecstasy. We gave ourselves to each other without reservation, pushing the limits of our passion until we reached the peak of pleasure. After that, I decided to leave. Now I live in an apartment with roommates who share my open-mindedness, but without attachments. Lydia has returned to Pablo, but things are not going well between them. She has called me a couple of times to talk, but I'm still not ready for that. My life has changed since that day. And although the scars of that encounter are still fresh, I am learning to live with them. If you liked this story, don't forget to subscribe, leave your like, and a comment for more stories like this. I hope you become part of our great community.